Yeah, what up, YouTube peeps? I don't know what's going on behind me. Actually, I had it running on. I had another video playing because I made a book. I made a video for this book, and another video playing. This just auto played. Let's get to the title real quick. Is Indiegogo? I can't remember what the title was going to be. Something about Indiegogo and mental health. It's not that important. So is friendly to mental health? Something. Anyway, I'm using it to tell a story instead of I don't know if Indiegogo is friendly to mental health just yet to answer that question. And like a part of me, so I got banned from Indiegogo, and then a part of me wanted to like make some kind of video about being banned, but like I don't really want to do that. You know, maybe it was like some old like Milltown kid, like I'm gonna troll them. So I don't want to troll. But then I was like, hey, it is an opportunity to tell a story about mental health and some of the struggles or some of the conflicting things that come up as a result. So it was almost this time last year, a little bit more than a year ago, I put together a Indiegogo campaign for shirts, Milltown Clan shirts. They're pretty dope. I went and got them. I got a design made. I actually got one printed, and a friend from China who was here in Taiwan, he wanted one, and I printed one and gave him one. So one got printed. Anyhow, I made this Indiegogo campaign. I raised exactly $500, and then I was supposed to get some shirts out. But shortly after after the campaign got completed, I had a manic episode. Ended up in the hospital, and yeah, I wasn't printing shirts from the hospital. When I got out of the hospital, shirts weren't deep on my mind, and it wasn't until really. Like, having a manic episode is super disruptive. And I'm on the extreme end. I haven't, I've looked for stats about bipolar and manic episodes, and I found one survey somewhere that happened at a conference. And you're already a part of an elite group if you're bipolar and end up in the hospital. But then of that elite group, I'm a part of an elite group of people who've been hospitalized more than 10 times. I think I've lost count at this point. I don't have an accurate measure for how many times I've been in and out of the hospital, but it's a lot. I think it's over 10 at this point. And these manic episodes, clearly I'm much better at recovering from them than originally, but they're super disruptive. Oftentimes you do something crazy and embarrassing, and with social media now it's a little worse because there's a digital trail, which I don't even care about anymore. I'm just like, well, it's there. There it is. There's been like a handful of videos that I've maybe made private or something, but for the most part I'm like, well, there it is. Anyhow, so I'm trying to raise money for these shirts. End up in the hospital. The point I was getting at before I talk about Indiegogo and the shirts again is that the just these episodes, these moments are really disruptive. In the moment, then you're usually in the hospital probably at least a week at minimum. Could be a month, could be 2 months. My longest stay, my mom will know better than me. I know it was at least a month. Oh, I think this one last year was more than a month. Maybe it was like a month and a half. Regardless, that time in the hospital is not the time, that's not recovery time. Like, the time in the hospital is like, they let you out when you're like, okay, now you're, somewhat functional, but you haven't recovered, right? And historically, for me, after coming out of the hospital, the recovery could take, up to a year. And when I say recovery, I just mean up to a year before I start maybe even wanting to re-enter the stream of life, we'll call it. maybe, so during that year of recovery, usually it's a pretty, in the past, it's been pretty, I get out. When I get out, I have no capacity to do anything. Then maybe I start watching TV, like binging movies or TV shows or something. Then eventually maybe I can't even play video games when I come out. Like it's weird. Like I come out and I don't have the focus or the desire, or I don't know, or video games feel stressful. It's weird. Like I come out, I can't even play video games. So I watch TV and sleep basically. Eventually, like the video games is not like, oh, okay, now I'm playing video games. Then from video game, let's see what's up next. Then from video games, it goes from video games to maybe reading books. Now, books is where I'm getting closer to, some kind of recovery. Then maybe I start journaling, and then I start exercising or something, right? Like that's kind of the progression. So it takes a long time to recover from these events. So when it comes to these shirts, I recovered pretty quickly in terms of like doing exercise and being social and everything. But like a lot of times you put the blinders on, I don't know, bills and financial stuff or just anything, or even just really getting on the internet. Like a lot of times it takes a long time to get active on social media or Facebook again. So I raised money for these shirts. I go to the hospital. I come out. And it wasn't until just a month or two ago that I even felt like thinking about the shirts. So I think I sent an email out like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like try to get these printed for everybody. But then shortly after that, I got an email saying that that the money had been refunded. And then I was like, oh okay, well that takes care of that. And then I hadn't thought about it, but then a friend was interested in raising money, and I'm like, bro, you got to check out Indiegogo. So I went and looked for one of my projects, and there was no project. I tried to log in, I couldn't log in. I checked my email, and there was no email from them saying anything. So then I contacted them through the site, and then they just said that from their, I can't remember what their happiness support team or something. There was an email. They eventually got back to me saying that they looked at my account and said that they didn't really say what I violated or anything. They just said that, we checked it out. We need to get rid of it. And then I emailed back. I didn't hear anything from them. And boom, now we're on this video. So yeah, that's that's kind of a story. I thought it was an opportunity to just kind of ramble and kind of journal about what happened with last year. But this incident with Indiegogo, and to address what the problem was, I think, I was manic and doing stuff. I opened up an account with, what are they called? Not Squarespace. I don't have Cloud Atlas. What do they do? Anyway, there's a service that it's really bothering me that I can't remember the name of the service. But there's a service that allows you to open an account so you can do business online and get a US, from anywhere in the world, you can open an account through them. Stripe, that's the name, Stripe. Yeah, that company. You can do business if you're trying to create a new app or do some online service, but you're in Nigeria. That's the first place that came to mind. You can open an account with an American thing, whatever, it costs some money. So I did that because I wanted to do this startup for mental health, which I'll probably still do, but I'm going to do it like slow motion, no rush. And I'm manic in the moment. I used that account. I tied that account to the Indiegogo thing. And then at some point, I think over the summer, I tried to switch the banking information to a personal account. I have a feeling that maybe that set off some red flags. I'm really not sure. I have no idea. That's my guess. But the point I want to make inside of all this is mania, like a key part of it that happens with just about everybody is you end up spending money in ways you shouldn't, or maybe even worse. I don't know if it's better or worse. Taking on credit that you maybe shouldn't. And lucky for me, I'm always pretty broke and don't have that much credit, so I don't do that much damage. But even inside of the damage that I do, it's like ends up being frustrating for me. Like, so if I go back to, I think it was 2016, maybe 2016, manic episode. And as a part of it, I had a phone. I went and got another phone from Best Buy, and and a phone plan and all this stuff, on credit or something. I don't know, but you have a 14-day window where you can return the phone. But I bought the phone, ended up in the hospital. I was in the hospital, like the whole transaction took more than 14 days. I come out, I don't want the phone anymore, and I can't get rid of it, and like there's no, there's no, what do I want to say? There's no the world just needs more compassion, but there's like no compassion. There's no like protocol for like, hey, I had a mental health issue. Here's the paperwork. Here's the whatever. Can I, get rid of this device? And, just the way the world works is just like, no, we don't care. That's your fault. Which is weird. And that's the weird thing about mental health, right? Like, for you got this just came to mind to me. You got people who professionally like, I know I don't know why this came to mind. If in the US a business needs to have, I don't know if it's of a certain size, needs to have parking that would allow for a wheelchair van to have space and have access. And there are people that go around like suing places professionally if they don't have this kind of wheelchair accessible thing. And so the point I'm making is like with other disabilities that are like more visible, that are easier to, they're visible. You're missing a leg, you're missing an arm, you can't. I feel like I'm doing a non-PC thing, but I'm being serious. You have to use a device or whatever. Companies, the law, whatever, they make space. They do things to give those people more flexibility and allow them to interact with society better. But then with something like bipolar, which is, while I'm working on overcoming and maybe not needing meds at some point and being like, yeah, I got this thing. It's classified as a disability for sure, just like any other disability, but there aren't really as many safeguards for, situations like the one with Best Buy or the story I just gave you with Indiegogo. And then that's frustrating, right? Like, and the thing is, when things like this happen, when you're in the hospital, you can't do anything. When you come out of the hospital, I'm gonna take this. I was like, I'm gonna take this as a sign to stop my video. But when you're in the hospital, you can't do anything. When you come out of the hospital, you're barely able to function. So a lot of time goes by, and then once you're able to function, you just got the aftermath of whatever you did, and yeah, it sucks. So hopefully, I'm gonna reach out to Indiegogo again. I emailed them, didn't get a response, but I'm gonna I'll reach out to them again through the thing. I'm assuming that they will get my account. Like, even if I can't use the platform anymore, it's a little upsetting to me that like the content that I created for the different things, like I don't have access to. So I'm hoping at minimum I can get access to that. Ideally, I could have ran this through Indiegogo, but instead I'm doing it through the Black Horse website. And I think I guess it felt fitting because I've done like other than that manic episode, my other Indiegogo things were always connected to doing something with Black Horse. So since I just made that video, thought I'd make this one. So anyhow, there's a ramble. Hope at least one of you got something, some kind of insight or something from it. And maybe, you know, now that I'm in a I will say this is just a thought I had during the week, and this is kind of exciting actually, is that it feels like I made the full transition into this YouTube account being fully dedicated to just journaling and expressing thoughts like this, or, you know, if someone asks me a question or whatever, and just being focused on this stuff, minus any of the I'm smiling, like Milltown Kid-esque type of things. So that feels good. Like, that took a long time. You know, I did the name change and started using Casey Abbott Payne in 2015. But as recent as last year, Milltown Kid came out with a vengeance. Like, I got to do a story summarizing the madness that was a large period of time last year when Milltown Kid, that was like his final. That was his final hurrah in unfiltered, I'm taking full control of the meat suit form. And I think it was, while it wasn't fun for those in my immediate sphere of influence, so to speak, I think it was just necessary. Yeah, I think it was just necessary, but we're not going to have any more of that. That being said, that doesn't mean it's the end of Milltown Kid. I still got channels out there for him to express himself. But for now, we're working on stability, financial, mental, health-wise. So, anyhow, that's it. Alrighty, guys. Oh, and I'll put a link if someone happens to want, like 30-some people ended up wanting to buy a copy of this book. The story behind this, just real quick, it's a long video. If you made it here, you're down for bonus content, clearly. This book was a gift from a friend. It's got a bunch of cool Tai Chi stories that aren't available online, in English anyway. I don't think they're available in Chinese either. I think they've all been in like published magazines or something from back in the day. And actually, I'll put a video. I just shot the video for this. I'll put a link to the page with the video, and that'll break that down. So, alrighty. Peace. Tai Chi.